Oh, hey, it's recording.
Yo,
What's up?
how's it going?
Good, good. How
Good.
was your week?
It was okay.
Yeah.
Busy. Last week of the semester.
Oh, you guys are at the last week of the semester already?
I finished my last class on Friday.
Oh man.
So
That's
it's just like marking and stuff
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
like getting ready for next semester.
Yeah.
Kind of feels daunting though to like start thinking about a fresh new semester versus like the continuation of just what I've already been like I don't know, it's like brand new classes and stuff, so it feels like a bit daunting.
It's busy, right? Yeah. It's too much.
Yeah, but
I don't know. You've done it before. You know how to do it.
I'm teaching one class that's brand new though.
Uh
It's like I mean the course itself has existed, but this is the first time we're doing like global perspectives in this in this way. And I like so what I've done is I've invited lecturers from across the world. I think I have 8 lectures so far. And they talk about like the way children are seen and develop in their context and a little bit of the history of their like the land that they're on and
okay.
then so I think it'll be kind of cool. I don't like I guess now I'm struggling with like what assignments do I do with that because I think
Yeah.
part of the idea is just to like introduce our students here about the different ways children are seen and heard and understood and how like culture actually influences development and stuff,
Okay.
but then and then ultimately like when those people migrate, if those people migrate to like Canada, we're working with all people from all over the world, so we need to have some insight, right? Like maybe
Yeah.
not enough to be called competent, but enough to like feel comfortable asking a question.
Yeah. So like okay, so what year is it?
There are third years.
So they have enough research behind them. Could they do like an autoethnography over the course of the semester about their childhood? Or is that
uh,
like digging too deep?
I think they do that like in their other classes kind of like we're
Uh,
always constantly asking like what have you experienced? So I was thinking more like initially before COVID, they were going to like pick a community that they were less aware of or less connected to and like go out and like learn about that community and maybe go to the communities association and
That'd be
stuff
cool.
and then kind of help them and then from what they learn like create a program for them,
Yeah.
and then I would obviously mark the programs and stuff, and then they could take those programs back to the community if they wanted to say like, here's something I thought about. I still think it's doable. I just have to figure out like how to do that in terms of um, not putting too much pressure on external community members
To
in like resourcing people, right, to like give information to these students. Like it's
uh
more the students' responsibility to like find programming and research kind of the community and stuff.
but surely there's got to be some information about these various communities like available to students like online or through reports or even through like dissertations and things, right?
Yeah, I that's why I was like today in the morning I was thinking about it and I was like it'd be cool to just have one long assignment through the course. So like the
Yeah.
first couple weeks like you identify a community group. Second week like identify the main like what makes that community a community.
Yeah.
And like
I
just work on it through the semester, so then by the end of the semester it doesn't feel like a huge project, it's like small little projects
yeah,
that
yeah.
lead up to this big assignment.
I think that's a great idea. You should do that.
Yeah, I think something different too, right? And it's not all like textbooky and
Yeah, and then like the other thing too is it reduces your marking because you can so that helps,
yeah.
right? But
Well, and oh, go ahead.
I think it's also interesting for I don't think students have enough time with a single project, right? So I know from my students too, we're always jumping around from like subject to subject. It's never these
Mm,
clean transitions. And like
mhm,
so it's difficult for them to see how everything's interconnected, like that intersectionality piece of learning.
mhm,
So I
mhm.
think like carrying one project through the course of a semester would be pretty ingenious actually. It would be pretty good.
Yeah, I have also like been thinking about because half of the group, well, maybe less, just less than half, would have been traveling to Ireland and Scotland
Oh
instead
yeah.
of taking this course.
Yeah.
Like, so they still would have had assignments and stuff, but it's a little bit of a lighter approach. So I'm like trying to balance how do I keep it light for all of them now, like including those that would have not light, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say, like still academic, still critical, but like enjoyable.
Have you heard of Google Expeditions?
No.
It's so if you look it up, it basically like traveling through Google Earth. So say if you wanted your students to create like an expedition that they could go on that traces the history of a community or something like that. So
Oh,
I
that'd
don't
be
know.
cool.
For us, it would be like they start off in India and then they move to Africa and then they move back to
Yeah.
Pakistan and then they come to Toronto, then they go to Calgary. Like it'd be kind of neat to just have like this is where this happened and this is where this happened, and then you just take it. You can go through.
Maybe they could do that with like the videos, the interviews that I'm doing, because I have like Bangladesh, East
Yeah,
Africa, Scotland, Ireland, the US,
yeah. So you can
Canada.
situate them, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
It's a different way to present it. It's the same material, just presented differently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, so that's what I'm doing.
That's cool. I wanted to ask you about that. You had a clever 10-year-old who
Oh,
gave you some feedback on the first video.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
wanted to ask you about that.
She said that the interaction was fun, but our topic was boring. I'm not sure today will hit her excitement topic ideas either, but she had some cool ideas like
Okay, pick
the
your favorite. Pick one topic that we could discuss for her.
I think a funny student story would be cool.
A funny is that one she requested or one you requested?
No, no, one she requested. Do you have a funny student story without using names, obviously?
Yeah. Do I have I have I have to have a good few funny student stories.
Your students would be just a bit older than her, hey?
Yeah, actually that's true. Yeah, this year, but last year and the year before they would have been right around her age.
Yeah.
So what are some of my funny student stories? I don't know. That's a hard one off the top of my head, especially at this time of year when you're tired. I don't want to see them anymore.
Okay, let's say like um a ridiculous question you've been asked by a student.
Oh man, like okay, so I have a podcast right about teaching.
Yeah.
So I have the podcast. So last week, so that was actually the story I started off this podcast or this week's podcast with. Is on Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday, we were lining up to go back inside, and I have to like give them hand sanitizer and everything, right? And one
Yeah.
of my students stops me, and he's like, "Hey, Mr. G, why don't you use your skill set to go get a job that'll pay you more?" It's like, what? And I was like, I used to have a job that paid me a lot more.
There's so many potential underlining messages.
Yeah. Like, what are you trying to say, man? It's funny
Oh,
though. He meant it nicely, but I don't know. I took it a little bit out of context for the podcast because I wanted to make like an exciting intro or something. But
that's funny though.
there was another student walked up after as we were having this conversation. He's like, "Hey, Mr. G, I don't want to offend you or anything, but you're kind of like a loser. That's probably why I have so much time to do all of these different things."
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's what's interesting about this age group is no matter because before I worked in a different community with the same age group, right? Like a
Yeah.
complete opposite community in terms
Yeah.
of socioeconomic status, even like diversity and all sorts of things. And they still like they're just trying so hard to figure out what the hell is going on in their lives that the
Oh,
things that come out of their mouth they're not they're thinking out loud, right? And so
yeah.
they're not trying to be offensive or anything, but it's
Oh, those
funny.
are good though.
Yeah, yeah. What about okay for you? For you,
Oh, I thought, yeah, it's a hard one. A funny
it's hard, right?
student. Um, oh, I don't know. I think like, yeah, I don't know. I might have to think about it for next week.
It's
'Cause,
hard,
like,
yeah.
yeah, that's a hard one. A funny student story.
'Cause I have stories, but they're not funny to tell them. Like you had to be
Be
there.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's a funny story about how we were at Toronto Island,
Yeah.
and one of my students he just couldn't carry a suitcase. So we were just laughing the whole time because he couldn't carry a suitcase, but I'm not allowed to carry a suitcase for him because that's like
Yeah.
because there's a liability issue, right? So I'm
Yeah.
just like, come on, man, come on. I'm using his name, of course, but I'm like, come on, man, and he's just like struggling. I'm like, and then finally, because it was like the coldest day of the year or something that we were there. It was like
Yeah.
minus, I don't know, ridiculous, and he didn't. He brought like those thin, those
Oh, yeah,
dollar
yeah.
store
Like,
gloves, and you're just like, man,
Yeah.
like, are you an idiot? And so he's like, his hands are frozen. He can't lift up his bag. He brought this huge hockey bag. Yeah,
To
you used
outdoor
to,
school.
yeah, to outdoor school. And he's like, oh, you idiot.
I have some stories from like when I was in out when I taught at Toronto
Yeah, you
Island.
taught there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
let's one start
just
from there.
like I think the one I remember the most is I were you guys there? Did you do the lighthouse story?
Yeah, the lighthouse story. Yeah.
So back I don't think you guys do it anymore, but back then we used to climb to the top of the
No,
lighthouse.
you're not allowed anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a pretty narrow staircase and
Yeah.
it and then you get up to the top and it's fairly narrow. Like it's made for just like the person that's taking care of the lighthouse
Right.
to kind of go up. So I remember we were going up and the door to get up is quite heavy. So you have to like pretty much pound it to make it open. And
Okay.
then when the students get up to the top, they like sit around it and then you have to pound it back up to get it like anyway. So we were like all up in this little circle at the top of the lighthouse and
Yeah.
one kid looks down and he goes, this is the end of my life, isn't it? Because he looked down the stairwell and he realized what he had climbed and he's like, this is the end, isn't it? This is how you guys
So,
end. And I was like, where did that come from? Like, I just thought that was hilarious. Like, that's what you got out of coming to the top of the lighthouse? Like,
it's like 3 stories, isn't it? It's not that high.
I think because, well, I mean, I guess it feels high when all you
Yeah.
look down is like just water.
Is it? Oh yeah, I guess it. Oh yeah, because it was right on the edge. We went in the dead of winter, so we couldn't see, and we went at night, so
Yeah.
like we couldn't see anything. It was all
So you
covered by
just like
snow.
look, and then that night we took them there to the same, that poor child had a day, man, because like at night we took them there and told them the story, like a scary
Oh yeah,
story
yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
bottom of the lighthouse. And then he's like, he looks at me and he goes, you guys really know how to take the joy out of this. Yeah. But
I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know. We'll have to think about those ones because I
It's a
know
good one.
there's lots of stories. They're just hard to think
Yeah,
about.
there's so many stories, too many stories. That's
Yeah.
how Mr. D became famous. He remembered them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
man.
Anyways,
Right on.
cool. Yeah. Well, it's
Good.
nice to catch up. Day
Yeah.
2,
Sorry.
week 2,
Week two.
done
Let's
and
all
dusted. Yeah.
post it.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.